Hi, willkommen bei Meet the Molchos. Ich heiße Nadiv, ich bin der jüngste Molcho-Bruder. Heute geht es eher über mich und meine Reise als Schauspieler und Künstler und wie ich sozusagen meinen eigenen Weg weg von Nanny in Amerika gebaut habe. Oh mein Gott, ich bin so schlecht, mein Deutsch ist eine Katastrophe. Anyway, tune in. Einer davon wird schon gehen.
You never even wanted to become an actor. You always knew you were an actor.
It was like a drug. And you have these high highs and then suddenly you feel as if you're having a crash, a low.
When opportunity doesn't arise, we create it.
The best thing that you can do is show them who you are. Put the you in unique.
Willkommen bei Meet the Molchos, unseren Familienpodcast. Heute sind wir in Klosterneuburg bei meinen Eltern zu Hause. Darum hört ihr vielleicht ein bisschen Geräusch im Hintergrund. Die Haya ist natürlich wie immer am Kochen. Heute mit meinem Bruder Nadiv, der Jüngste. We are going to do this episode in English. Surprise, surprise, because we're going to be talking about Hollywood. We're talking about Nadiv's career as an actor, his vision, where everything is going from here. So I wish you a lot of fun. It's going to be an amazing episode and you're going to get to know Nadiv, the only Molcho brother who is not at Nini. Nadivi, welcome to the podcast.
Nouriel, it's great to meet you.
Great to meet you. Always nice. Always a pleasure.
You're the oldest or the one in the middle? I forget.
I am the oldest. I'm the first N and you're the last N.
Sometimes in America I say I'm the first N, but it's because I'm single and I need any help I can get.
Perfect. Nadivi, I talked in a previous episode about how I had also had the dream at one point of becoming an actor. And I talk about the fact that you never even wanted to become an actor. You always knew you were an actor. You always knew that this is your life's calling. And in the episode, I say that at that point, I knew I can't pursue the same career as you. Because for me, it would have been fun. It would have been a hobby. But I noticed it was your entire being. And I never wanted us to be in conflict with each other. I never wanted us to have any kind of drama because our friendship, our brotherhood is more important than anything. But I was always so fascinated, and very few people have that they know from a young age exactly what it is they're going to do. So Nadivi, maybe you walk us a little bit through where you are today and your whole mindset on being an actor, one of the toughest jobs in the entire world.
Sure. I remember seeing clips actually of that episode, and it was very moving because it's always so interesting to see your perspective on things, or rather the family's perspective on my choices in my career, because I was always very certain with what I was doing and what my dreams were. And you sort of, especially within our family, were such a supportive family that I almost take it for granted. I try not to, but that everyone is sort of behind me and in full support of me, just the way that I am with all of you guys. But it took me a minute to take a half step back and really listen to what you were saying. And it moved me because you as an oldest brother have always been two things. One, a pioneer when it came to anything new that you were experimenting with, that we could then sit and learn and observe from to see, do we want to follow that path as well? Whether it was shaving your head or dyeing your hair bleach blonde with a little spike.
I was going to say radical haircuts, number one.
Radical haircuts, number one. And it's a very older brother thing for you to do because it sort of allowed me to carve my own path with the experiences and the lessons that you've learned and taught and taught me. And so the first decision that I made that I feel came purely from me and not by looking at what you were doing was acting. And although we were all performing as kids, you have to imagine I was
Not like the Jackson 5. Let me just put out there, we had a father who was
very loving and supportive, yeah, who didn't force a career on us. By the way, you may also hear bird sounds in the background. We live in a bit of a jungle here.
Yeah.
I don't know how, there's a lot of noise.
It's okay.
But that's exactly it. We grew up in a house full of noise. And when I was sort of just old enough to realize what my surrounding looked like and felt like, I could see you were truly in Michael Jackson costumes, doing the moonwalk, throwing the hat, making all the dance moves. And I just loved the idea of entertaining. And I could see how much fun that was. But like most kids, you play around with the idea of, putting on costumes and playing and performing. and then you grow out of that phase. And for me, I feel like I never grew up in a sense. And I was very lucky in that I got a movie role offered to me when I was 10 years old.
Exactly. Let's talk about that because people don't know that you played in your first movie at a very young age. You were 9 or 10 years old.
Yes.
And you had to move to Bratislava.
That's right.
For I think 3 months.
Yeah, for almost 5 months.
Almost 5 months. I mean, as a 9, 10-year-old to be away from your family for pretty much half a year on a movie set with top Hollywood actors. So maybe talk about first that audition, how it was finding out you actually got the role.
Yeah.
And then your experience as such a young child on set.
Yeah. So, just to quickly circle back on your point with you not wanting to pursue this because you knew how much passion I had for this. Just hearing that from me to you now, I just want to tell you thank you because it's a very generous thing for you to do. And I think I've always believed that everything sort of happens for the most part for a reason, and everyone finds their own path and sort of things, come to you as they should. But you also made an active decision there to say, maybe this isn't my dream like it is Nadiv's, so I don't need to be in competition with him. And that also opened the way for me in many ways. And I could feel not in competition, but rather full support from all sides of all my brothers and parents. So thank you for that. I hope it pays off one day. So I'll never forget the day I was here in this house and I had a friend sleep over. He was a friend from Uruguay, and I would always talk about acting and me wanting to be in movies and whatnot. I would see films, and I remember going to sleep and being woken up by Haya in the morning at like 7 in the morning with my friend also crashing in my room. And she woke us up and she said, it's school time. Also a casting director, Steven Spielberg's European casting director, Fritz Fleischhacker, and his partner, Lucky. They had a casting sort of, they were running their own business at the time. She said they're looking for a kid to be in a gigantic Hollywood production. It's a mini series about World War II. And they were looking at all these different schools in London and in Paris and in Vienna and LA and New York. And they couldn't find the role of this kid, a role of a Jewish boy who would be able to sort of open the series, close the series, and have many moments in between. And Haya woke me up and she said, I know that you've spoken about wanting to be an actor. Would you want to audition for this? And my friend from Uruguay was like, I want to audition too. He was 3 heads taller than me, looked like a 40-year-old basketball player. I looked like I had tiny, really small, puberty is, it's still kicking in, frankly. But the role was for an 8-year-old boy. And I also at the time was like, we should both audition. And we both went to this audition. And recently I came across the casting video where all of us sort of put ourselves on tape for this role.
Yeah.
And I think you guys were more just like, let's see, maybe there's another role in there.
Exactly,
It'll be a fun activity. But for me, I was determined to get this role. Even with my best friend at the time auditioning for this, I didn't even see competition, me versus him. I knew this was my role. And just like you said, the difference between me, the idea of wanting to be an actor versus being an actor, already then, and I didn't even know what an audition was, I knew this role was mine. I remember Sami and Haya telling me, just keep your expectations low and be open to surprises, but just be yourself in there and don't worry about the outcome. And I said, I'm not worried because I know the outcome. And I don't know where this came from, but I was determined that I just knew that this role had my name written all over it. And I went into the audition room and they simply said, can you create a scene where you're stealing tomatoes, but you're in danger? And you have to be really careful not to get caught. At the time, I didn't realize the situation was Nazis were after me. And I just did it without thinking. There's a reason why child actors are so good at what they do oftentimes is because they have this wild imagination that wasn't destroyed by real life. So you can easily slip into a scenario and you fully believe it. And the goal of being an actor at my age now is almost to forget a lot of the things that I learned over the years and get back to that childhood mindset of being able to slip into a role without question. And I did the audition, and I remember the next day I got the role. And I just knew that it just felt right. In many ways, this was great for my future because I had full confidence going into my other auditions. On the other hand, when you start your career, I'll say, I was a kid, with such a positive experience, the expectation is very high for future things. And I'll talk about that as well. But so I got the role the next day, and then 3 weeks later I was on set for many, many months, and it was.
I remember you calling us because we didn't know who was going to be in this movie because it's very vague. You go to an audition, they don't even tell you the real title. You audition, and then you call us, and it was the time we had loved the show Friends.
Yeah.
And you call us and you said, Nuriel, you won't believe it, but Ross is on set.
Yeah, David Schwimmer, Ross from Friends.
Ross from Friends is on set, and we all drove out to see you. We all got to meet. I mean, there was also
first
Donald Sutherland was in
Sutherland, John Voight.
Exactly.
I called you. I remember saying Bruce Willis is in it, and then I'm like, nah, I'm just kidding. Nicolas Cage is in it. No, we're just kidding. Tom Cruise. No, we're just kidding. And then I said David Schwimmer from Friends, and you thought I was joking. I said, I promise you.
Yeah, I remember.
I couldn't believe it. This was at the height of Friends. 2001. They were on season
8 or something.
7, 8, something like that. And I remember watching Friends every day with all of us in the living room. Also, one of the reasons I wanted to keep entertaining audiences was because I saw how you all reacted to a show like that. And I thought, I want to do that. To have David on set was incredible, and he took me under his wing and mentored me. And throughout the years after the film, I would visit him in LA and stay with him, and sort of growing up on the set of Friends.
Yeah, exactly. Fun fact for everybody. Nadiv and Elon are actually in 2 or 3 episodes of Friends.
2 episodes, in the background,
Exactly. We'll try to blend in a little clip of that.
Yeah, I'll send you the episodes,
Perfect.
I pretend to not know which ones, but it's season 8, episode 1, and season 10, episode 11, the one where the stripper cries.
and the wedding.
Yeah, the one after I do, that's right. I remember the producer of that film. I was walking with her, and again, I was 10 years old, and I just said, I want to be an actor. And she stopped me and she said, you are an actor. You are acting. You are an actor. And so as of that point, it was for me, again, the same mindset of this part is mine. This career is mine too. And
So what I want to talk about, because, everyone sees the sunny side.
Yeah.
Which of course is amazing. You audition and you get a role and you're a young kid. And then you're like, this is going to be super easy and I'm going to be a superstar in no time. People forget how hard it is to be an actor because it's one of the few jobs where you have to deal with rejection like nowhere else. It's not like you're always getting rejected for the way you look, the way you are, for yourself, Yes, you're playing a role, but I think people don't realize how many auditions it takes to get one yes. And then to have the willpower to keep doing it, even though people you have no relation to are judging you like this, yes or no, and they can decide if you get a role to make your career or to absolutely not even give you a chance. And they don't know you, they are judging you within a split second. And often it's because you don't have blue eyes. And the director envisioned this character having blue eyes and blonde hair, but your acting was superb, but the vision for the role was different. Right. And what I've always respected about you, and I think this is something that a lot of us deal with more today than ever before with social media, with a lot of us just putting ourselves out there, is getting rejected. But in spite of that, staying true to yourself, staying motivated to keep chasing that dream. And I wanted to ask you how you deal with that.
Yeah, it's the combination of being an actor and a stand-up comedian. I would almost argue even more as a stand-up comedian because you're truly, it's as naked as it gets. You're standing up there on that stage and within the second, an audience is judging you for you. And it's like the test is, will they laugh or will they not laugh?
Yeah.
With acting, of course, you can somehow disguise it with a role and you don't have full control. It's how does the movie end up being, the music, all that stuff. But to talk about the audition process, yeah, I very quickly learned that I have very little control. And all I can do is work on the things that I do have control in, which is preparing, knowing what I wanna, knowing sort of what my perspective is on this role. Because there was a phase where I would look at the page and I would say, okay, blonde hair, tall person, whatever, this is your audition. And even though on the page, it's the opposite of who I am, subconsciously, I tried to show them what I think that they were looking for. Whereas with experience, I learned the best thing that you can do is show them who you are. Put the you in unique. Because when I am myself, and as Sami puts it, within the corset of a character, but you're still ultimately yourself, you will always be yourself, then you cannot be in competition with anybody else because there is no other me. No one even has my fingerprints,
Yeah.
And
There's
so
a famous saying that be you because everyone else is taken.
I love that. I love that. And I think as soon as you stop competing or having the mindset of competing with others, but rather, a healthy competition with yourself is fine. I prepare as much as I can. Sometimes they give you 1 day, 2 days for 10 pages of dialogue. And instead of me trying to prove something to them, it took me years to understand that I am enough. And it's not about if I'm good or bad. Of course, you go to acting classes, you work hard on your craft, you take it seriously. But once you're in that room, you got to let go and present yourself and the perspective you have on the role. And whether it goes your way or not is entirely out of your control. Now that I'm directing, I see it from the other side of the table. There's phenomenal actors. My producers are pitching people for my film. We can get into that later, but I love their work, but they're just not right for this role. And so what I do is I show myself in an audition, and more times than not, I won't get the role that I'm auditioning for, but I will get a different role within that same project. But how do I deal with rejection? I feel, I heard an actor say once, being an actor is like seeing, or rather staring down a road littered with no's, and you still decide to go down it. But something you taught me is that after every no, there's a comma, and it doesn't mean a full stop. I think you shared a clip with me once that I go back to every once in a while on YouTube, which is don't let a no stop you, but rather one door closes, another one opens. And eventually you will get that yes. So, I have friends that are more established than me in their careers. One in particular was on a very famous show called Gossip Girl. And I always wanted to meet him here and there, and he was busy. And then I said, hey, I'm moving to LA. And he says, oh, then I will meet you for lunch because there's some advice I'd like to share with you. And because he knew that I would take this seriously and move everything to Los Angeles and build a life for myself there, he said, listen, you will always get better as an actor. You will keep working on your craft. But the one thing that you need to remember the most is staying true to yourself. And that means not giving up when people say no, not judging yourself for not getting a role. Be personal with things, but don't take things personally. If you don't get an opportunity, it's nothing against you. The right thing will come at the right time. And I've learned now to trust the timing of the universe. And there is no one equation or blueprint. How can an actor make it? You just have to enjoy the process and take every audition as an opportunity, as if it were the job. Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad says, we're not here to get a job, we're here to do the job. So treat the audition like it's the job. And after that, you got to let it go.
What I also wanted to circle back in, because that's a thing that our family often does, is that when something doesn't work out, we don't give up. And when opportunity doesn't arise, we create it.
Right.
And this is something that you have now embarked on. It's your next journey. You did this when you were young. I know that you did your first movie when you were in your 20s because you said, I don't have a green card yet. I'm in LA. I want to be an actor. Without a green card, I can't get an agent. Without an agent, I can't get auditions. So for most people, that would have been a full stop. For you, it's like, okay, what can I do? No one's stopping me from just writing my own movie, shooting my own movie, and just acting and just learning about the process of filmmaking. So you flew to Morocco because I was getting married there with Audrey, and we were writing a cookbook. and we were spending a lot of time in Marrakesh, and we had friends. And you said, you know what? I'm gonna use this opportunity, shoot a love story, half based in Vienna, half in Morocco, find a young team of actors, and you, in your 20s, just created a movie that even made it to the cinemas.
Yeah.
And it's called History of Now, and I absolutely love it. And you were young. And then at some point you ended up getting your green card because you were doing so many things that other people weren't doing, thinking outside of the box, doing big stand-up shows, again, on your own. You rented our old school theater. You did a huge stand-up comedy show for 400 people. You've opened for huge acts. You've been at the stand-up comedy, Laugh Factory, all of them. And then you were getting some roles. You were in some amazing Netflix series and amazing Netflix shows, The Gray Man and Freud and many other things. And then again, as it is in Hollywood, you have a high and then there's a low. And a lot of people, again, see this low as a full stop. And you then said, I'm not going to wait. I feel like I'm ready now, again, after so many years, to do my own thing.
Right.
And I would like to get into what that is now. What is the project that Nadiv Molcho is working on now? Because it's, I think, your greatest thing to come yet.
Right now, my biggest personal project is fixing the current haircut that I have experienced. I'm about to go there for the third time and fix just little details, because if we would have filmed this 3 days ago, I would have had a lion's mane. So the film that I did when I was 23 called History of Now, first of all, the thing is, I did it for myself. And I did it for my friends that also were looking for opportunities. And I said, guys, look, we're not getting cast as leading roles. I've played the German snowboarder, the foreign merchant, the Viennese street brother number 2, the shady doctor, all wonderful parts, but they didn't, speak to me on a personal level. And so I said, I'll take my bar mitzvah money and let's just make a movie. And it was a beautiful experience, and it taught me that, just like you said, I can create my own opportunities. By the way, just like you guys are doing with Nenny and everything surrounding Nenny. Of course, you have all this support now, but it was you all who took that gamble and that risk at the beginning, believing in yourself before anyone else can sort of believe in you.
Yeah.
I remember being on the phone with the distributor in Austria. It was in the cinemas, and then it went to TV. And I was like, how many people watched the movie? And she was like, around 15. And I'm like, 15 people only? She's like, no, 15,000. 15,000 people watched my movie? That's insane. That's crazy. Groundbreaking, record smashing. She said, that's the worst we've ever done in the history of our... I was so proud of myself. First of all, don't show my movie at 11:30 p.m. after Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
A 3.5-hour movie where Brad Pitt goes from a Rosina to Brad Pitt. I don't know. But the point was, I said, okay, this was a door opener and I can create my own opportunities. So this project that I'm doing now is my most personal project yet. Not just for me, but I think for the entire family.
Yeah.
And I am directing and starring in a film based on the life and the career of our father, Sami Molcho. The movie is called The Bird and the Hunter. It primarily shows his life growing up as a kid with a sort of identity crisis in his own skin and body, what masculinity means to him in an environment that was quite macho at the time, where all he wanted to do is fly and move and be a dancer, and spending his whole life finding his true self as a person, as an artist. And what I love about the story is that it's a movie about an artist that his entire life is trying to spread his wings and fly. And what he learned throughout it is really that the most important thing for him was not the flying, but the landing. And the landing is home, is family, is this. He just got a few awards from the government in Austria. His 90th birthday we just celebrated, which was beautiful. I would say, toy, till 120, he would say, don't limit me.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit. But although it was such an honor for him to receive these prizes for his career, I think what truly means the most to him on the deepest level is sitting around a table with his family And that's sort of being the moment of I made it. The next generation is in good hands, and I've done my job as a father, and I've inspired them to inspire their children and so forth. So this is a film for me. It is a challenge, playing Sami, directing the film, and I have a beautiful team of incredible producers, a writer who's helped me write the script, and we all just believe that this will be in many ways groundbreaking new approach to a modern film that feels like an old film.
Yeah.
It's a silent film, a hybrid, so you will hear all the noises of the world, the flapping of a bird's wings, the breeze of the wind, the leaves rustling on the trees, and yet the spoken dialogue is not heard. And it is an homage to his life as a mime artist. And I don't want to give too much away of the movie. I hope that at least 15 or 15,000 of you will watch it.
Yeah, or maybe 15.
Camera to look at.
Maybe 15 million.
Maybe 15 million, exactly. Dream big. But yeah, so that's my biggest passion project. The reason it's called The Bird and the Hunter is because his most famous performance as a mime in German is called Der Vogel und der Jäger, which translates to The Bird and the Hunter. And because while he was serving at the time in the army where he grew up, he chose to be a carrier pigeon trainer and isolated himself from the noise from the outside world and just hyper-focused on movement and these birds and studied their every motion and took that very much to heart and wanted to, use that as his big hurrah moment on the world's biggest stages.
And we had just recently, now at Sami's 90th, read through the whole script together as a family, and I can just say, not only as a brother, but as also a big fan of movies and cinematography and growing up around artists, it's going to be incredible. I can't wait for people to see this. It's really something revolutionary. Right now, you're in the process of funding, finding the money, and you're going to be shooting it next year.
Yeah.
And I hope that we will all be showing clips of us standing at Cannes or at the Venice Film Festival, showing this movie for the first time. So we have to dream big. And I wanted to end the podcast, because we like to keep it short, with a sort of quick fire round, because, Hollywood, LA, the acting life, it's it's a big question mark for many people. So let me start off by, who's the biggest actor you've ever spoken to?
Tom Cruise.
And how was he?
Phenomenal. You know who he was? He was Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
He's a movie star.
What has been the biggest disappointment in Hollywood?
My expectation for the people, especially as a kid, having that experience on the set of Friends and all those big moments, it was like a drug. And you have these high highs, and then suddenly you feel as if you're having a crash, a low, because you think that the normal thing as an actor is making $1 million a week like they did on Friends. And I think I relied a little too heavily on the support from the outside beyond our family. And it hurt and disappointed me much more than not getting in auditions, but rather being ghosted but that's a part of the process. And again, it's pointing the arrow back to create your own opportunities.
Then as a cinema movie fan, and it's always a hard one, do you have a favorite movie or a movie you recommend people watch?
It's a tough one. It always depends on my mood. There's movies that I can watch on repeat every day and I will never get bored watching them. So maybe I'll just throw out a few.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah, love it.
Love that movie. I am a big, this might speak to more of a niche audience, but I'm a big John Cassavetes fan. He sort of created independent American cinema in the 60s, 70s. There's a movie called A Woman Under the Influence, which I think is fantastic. If you're going for crime, the Scorsese, the Goodfellas is an incredible movie. And I don't shy away from saying things, the big broad comedies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah.
Because you laugh, you're happy, you have these emotional moments. And because I'm always sort of rooting for myself, I love seeing comedians strive in dramatic roles. So going to Jim Carrey and seeing him in a movie like The Majestic or The Truman Show is I will never get bored of that.
Okay, we'll do 3 more last ones and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
What's the favorite role you've ever played? Would be the first one. So what's a role you're most proud of up to this point in your career?
I love Freud. I have to say I felt very connected to the material. Marvin Kren, the director, is awesome. He thinks so big and international with his style of filmmaking. And without a doubt, I know already because I'm starting to work on the role of playing our father, Sami.
And then I'll finish it off. I said I was going to do 3, I'm going to do 2. And my last question is, for anyone out there who also has the dream of becoming an actor, is there one piece of advice that you would share with them?
Yes. I would say learn how to get on a treadmill and walk, jog, or run for as long as you can, because what you will need to sustain a career in this industry is not only passion and love for it and talent, of course, but it's momentum and it's endurance, not giving up. And for me, a treadmill symbolizes the journey continues. Keep walking. Keep walking.
Amazing. That is a beautiful final word. And thank you so much, Nadiv, for your time. And I hope you guys had a fun time listening to this podcast. I hope for anyone wanting to be an actor or any other job that they're pursuing out there, don't give up. Stick at it. Manifest.
Yes.
Know that you have already achieved your dream. Believe it and it'll happen. And all the best.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Nouriel, my big brother. And if I could do this whole podcast again, I would probably think of 4 different movies, even though you asked for just 1.
Perfect.
Watch The Bird and the Hunter.
Amazing. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a little bit of the insides of Hollywood, how hard the business is, and how much you have to do to stay resilient to make it in the end. Manifest your dreams, and they will come true.